Welcome. Today we're diving into a topic that's both challenging and transformative. It's understanding the voice of the abuser in your head. If you've ever found yourself paralyzed by guilt, shame, fear, or self-doubt, you've likely encountered this voice. And while it might sound harsh to think of it this way, this is more often than not the internalized echo of past trauma or what is known as a trauma identity. It's an identity we were forced to take on as children, and it reflects the lingering voices of people from our past, like our parents, our caregiver. It's those who failed to provide us a safe space, the safe space we needed. And this lack of support, it led us to internalize their words and actions, shaping a false trauma-based identity that feels inseparable from who we are. It shapes our thoughts and feelings in ways we may not even realize, and most find it hard to recognize or confront this voice, this inner critic. So today we're going to dive deep into understanding and addressing it. And even better, we're going to talk about some things to help you reconnect with your authentic self, the empowered you. This is the self you were born to be, free from these internalized constraints, untruths, and limiting beliefs. This voice, this internalized echo, this inner critic, whatever name you choose to give it, it's been there a long time. It convincing us that it's who we are, that it's our reality. But I'm here to tell you it's not. You are not the voice of the abuser, and you don't have to listen to it. So if you're ready to step out of that fear and step into your truth, continue to listen. I'm Kerri McKenna Reece, a trauma recovery coach, accredited certified complex trauma trainer, and a mentor. So let's take a look closer at what I mean by the voice of the abuser. Many people who've experienced trauma, especially in childhood or in their formative years, they unconsciously adopt the harmful words, beliefs, and judgment of those who hurt them. You may have been told things like, shut up and sit down, you'll never be able to do that, you'll fail, you sound like a fool, or more subtle remarks like, who do you think you are? Or only really smart people with money can do that. Maybe even comments like, I don't want to hear it, nobody cares about that, or what will people think of you? All of these can leave lasting imprints, right? These phrases, whether they were said exactly like this or not, they become woven into our thoughts and they start sounding like your own voice, but they're not your voice. They're the echoes of someone else's personal fears, judgments, and limitations that were imposed on us, becoming tangled up in our own self-beliefs. They are said to bring us down to their level of thought. And let's be frank, they don't or they didn't feel very good about themselves. As a child, though, we looked up to them. And most children, they idolized their parents or caregivers and we accepted their words as truth, right? They were the example. So we didn't know any better. And with that, their negative beliefs became entangled with our own self-perception, shaping how we see ourselves even today. Now, there's an impact to this internalized voice. It's paralyzing. It keeps us stuck in cycles of guilt, shame, fear, and self-doubt. It makes us feel as though we can't break out of it, as though this is our truth. And this is where so many get trapped. They believe that these thoughts represent who they are rather than recognizing them for what they are, remnants of the past and lies we've been taught to believe. When a child is told negative things about themselves or raised in an environment that is constantly critical, judgmental, dismissive, an environment that doesn't honor them, they're going to feel bad about themselves. That's what they'll believe, and that becomes their internal dialogue. A child needs to know that there's beauty within themselves and beauty within the world. That has to be reflected to them through the love they receive. They need to know they have value. Imagine how limiting life is without feeling you have value, that you're good. Imagine what dreams, relationships, or personal goals could have been nurtured if this voice, this echo, this trauma identity didn't hold you back. The true cost isn't just in the self-doubt, but in all the lost possibilities, all the joy and fulfillment you might not even allow yourself to want because of that voice and the fears it bestows. So how do we begin to dismantle this voice, this echo, this trauma identity? It starts with awareness. Start by being present with yourself. When you are asked a question or you're making a decision or working out an issue, listen to the first voice that speaks because that's your authentic self. The second voice is the trauma identity. It comes in to shut you down, to have you second guess yourself, to feel discouraged or afraid. Notice when that critical or fearful voice speaks up. Notice that it's not you. Try to observe it without judgment. And know it's extremely vital to listen to that first voice. Next, separate that second voice from yourself, but don't avoid it. It's important to befriend it. You want to understand it. You might say to yourself, there's that voice again. That's not me, and it doesn't apply to me. That's an echo of someone else's influence, right? It's also helpful here to give it a name or an identity. Something as simple as the voice of the abuser can create that needed identity separation. It's like labeling a negative influence in your life so you can disassociate it from who you truly are. I named mine Chucky years ago. But the goal is to reconnect with your own feelings and desires and begin reclaiming your authentic self. So I want you to think of a time when you felt genuinely you, maybe a moment of laughter with a friend, a time you let loose and acted on a spontaneous feeling, or when you accomplished something meaningful to you. That's your real self, the version of you that's untouched by this negative voice. This part of you is really resilient, it's powerful and infinitely capable. One technique I often suggest is to practice is a practice called affirmation replacement. When that voice of doubt or shame arises, counter it with a statement of truth. Instead of nobody wants to hear it, tell yourself, I have a voice that deserves to be heard. My thoughts and feelings are valuable and deserve expression. Instead of I'd never be able to do that. Tell yourself, I'm learning, and that's enough to achieve my goals. Instead of who do I think I am? Tell yourself, I'm someone worth listening to. My life is my experience, and others will be able to relate. Instead of nobody cares, tell yourself my ideas and passions matter and they are meaningful to others. And instead of what will people think of me, tell yourself I'm free to be myself regardless of other people's opinions. It's not about drowning out that voice with endless positivity. It's about tapping into an exiled, more grounded and empowered part of yourself that is always there. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't need permission or approval. It's that profound love your soul has for you and your life, a love that seeks to understand with compassion, connect with empathy, and make a genuine difference. This is the love we are all born with. We come into the world this way. Now, as you continue this practice, you'll begin to notice something beautiful, a new inner dialogue taking shape. You'll start to hear your real voice, the voice of your wisdom, your compassion, your truth. This voice is different. It's calm, it's steady, and it's here to help you grow. And with time, it becomes louder and stronger than the voice of the abuser. You're not trying to fight or erase the past. That's not possible. It's accepting the past for what it is, accepting our abusers for who they are, and cultivating something positive and powerful that is deep within ourselves. Consider journaling or recording your thoughts as you go through this process. Write down the negative phrases that arise, and right next to them, write the affirmations you're choosing to replace them with. You'll start to see patterns and gain clarity on what this voice of the abuser often targets, and that can really help you stay aware and prepared. The journey to getting grounded in your authentic self, it's ongoing. It takes practice, commitment, and a lot of compassion for yourself. But with each and every day that you challenge the voice of your abuser, you are building resilience. You are reprogramming your mind to honor you, your truth, rather than live defined by someone else, by your abusers, by their fears, their constraints, their untruths, and their limiting beliefs. Imagine a life where you're guided by your dreams. You're not by your fears, right? But by your own voice, not the echoes of the past. So as you go about your day, stay mindful of the voice within. Remember, you don't have to accept every thought that comes up as true. You can say, I hear you, but what you say does not apply to me. You absolutely get to choose which voice to listen to. And today, I hope you'll choose to listen to your own voice, the voice of your empowered, authentic self. Thank you for being here with me on this journey today. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content to support your healing journey. And remember the authentic you. It's always within reach and it wants to be an active part of your life. You got this.